The war on DEI is part of the war on black people. We've seen it play out in universities, but I'm telling y'all now, it's coming to the corporate world. It's coming to the corporate world. And you better be ready. You better be ready. What you talking about first? I'm about to read you this whole damn article and let you know what I'm talking about. But before I do, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I am your homeboy First, and this is the realest, most entertaining show in the game. Put it on something again. Hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that share button, and put all your people on it. Before I took my hiatus and during my hiatus, we have seen a war on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's a part of the backlash that we have received in the past 4 years since the heinous lynching of George Floyd. Y'all remember that? Seems like a lot of motherfuckers done forgot. Because, see, it seemed like we had a movement. Seemed like it. But then the backlash to that movement, oh, they the ones with the movement. They going stupid hard. Stupid hard. From anti-woke to anti-critical race theory and now anti-DEI. These bigots out here, they are on their shit. And we are not matching it. We ain't letting these punk motherfuckers whoop our ass right now. They got rid of affirmative action last year. Yes, they did. Even though affirmative action helped white women more than it helped minorities. That's just facts. And now they coming for all these DEI programs that a lot of these schools and these companies try to implement after the lynching of George Floyd, when it seemed as if we were having a racial reckoning after watching a man scream out for his mother like that. These folks say, fuck all that. Y'all don't need no help. We don't want to give you no help. We don't even want to let you in the door. Fuck help. We don't want to let you in the door. And it's been easy to point the finger at PWIs, and then I've seen a lot of people call out, folks, why y'all keep going to PWIs? Why y'all keep going up there? Stop going there, stop going there, stop going there. And I get that sentiment on its face. But my counter to that being, well, they doing the same shit at your job. The folks who are funding the anti-woke movement and the anti-critical race theory and the anti-DEI movements are these rich motherfuckers who are funding Trump and funding, if you live in these red states, they're funding your governor, they're funding your senators, they're funding these motherfuckers, man. They're funding these activists and these rallies. And you work for them. You go clock in for them. You get a paycheck from them. You do. So while I see a lot of folks saying to these athletes, these black athletes that go to these PWIs, y'all got to stop going there. As I've said before, you ain't gonna civil rights movement them little young motherfuckers out of going in them schools. Them folk breaking them off that money. Just like them folk are breaking some of you off with that money at your job. You ain't turning down the money. So why you expect the 18-year-old to turn down the money? And I'm not chastising either of you. Okay? I'm not. I love you. I said that countless times. I love you. But I'm not here to always tell you what the fuck you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. I love you. You got bills to pay. I understand that shit. A lot of them kids that go into these schools to play football and basketball, their parents got bills to pay. They coming out of poverty. This NIL gonna get them a chance to take care of family for the first time. Back in the day, that under the table money was allowing them to do that. I get it. I get it. Okay. It's unrealistic for me to think that all these stud black athletes gonna come back to HBCUs like they did, like they were before the full implementation of Brown v. Board of Education. It's unrealistic of me to think that. Just like it's unrealistic for me to think that all black people gonna work for black-owned businesses or own black-owned businesses. It's unrealistic for me to think that. Even though I do, even though I'm a business owner and I only work for myself, okay? And I partner with a black company, okay? And even when I was a teacher, I only taught in black schools. It's unrealistic, though, for me to say all black people gonna work for only black businesses. Because I don't know if we can employ all of us. So I get it. I get it. But what I hope to do here today is explain what's coming down this road in corporate America with this DEI shit. And then also explain what our stud athletes can do to better fight against this shit at the collegiate level. Because if they just do a few things, they can fuck that whole movement up. They can fuck this whole anti-DEI movement the fuck up. Yes, they could. But then from a grown folk standpoint, from a worker standpoint, for those of you that have to go into these offices, have to go into these cubicles and work with motherfuckers who you know goddamn well your supervisor and the CEO of your company don't hold your politics. You know that motherfucker just views you as labor. But there's still some things you can do collectively to push back on this bullshit. But let's look at the matter at hand. Okay. And this article comes from Axios. Okay. And they dropped this on June 6th. So a couple days ago from when I'm recording. Okay. And I'm going to read this whole goddamn article to you. Okay. It says corporate diversity programs could be headed toward the Supreme Court. And this article is by Dan Primack and Emily Peck. Shout out to them. All right. It says the legal fight over diversity efforts in the business world advanced this week as an appeals court decision halted a venture capital firm's grant program for black women entrepreneurs. Why it matters. The case was filed by the same group that got the Supreme Court to overturn affirmative action in higher education last year. And with this decision, corporate programs inched closer to a similar fate. Catch up fast. Edward Bloom's American Alliance for Equal Rights, look at the name of that motherfucking organization. Some bitch, no, he don't give a fuck about no equal rights. He want to keep us beneath them, but I digress. Filed a case against Fearless Fund last year, claiming the VC firm's grant program for black women entrepreneurs is discriminatory because it leaves out other groups. Bloom's group sought to stop the program while the case proceeded, but a district court judge denied the request. See, these motherfuckers, these some bitches look at right now and they act like all that shit that happened in the past didn't happen, that there are no effects of the shit that happened in the past. So everything should just be equal now, and let's compete. Meanwhile, your motherfucking ass had a head start from 1619 to at least 1968. At least that. That's how long of a head start you motherfuckers had. But now you say, well, everything just got to be equal. Well, goddamn, you already up here. And we make it equal, how am I ever going to catch up? How? And they know this. They know this too. But you name your shit the American Alliance for Equal Rights. Like you goddamn Dr. King or Cesar Chavez or some shit. Fuck you talking about, dog. Let's keep going. The state of play. On Monday, a panel of 3 judges, including 2 former President Trump appointees, overturned that ruling in the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. The judge appointed by former President Obama penned a fiery dissent. The court stopped the program from operating while the case proceeds. It ruled that Bloom's group is likely to succeed on the merits of its claim that the Fearless program violates a Reconstruction era civil rights law meant to protect formerly enslaved people from discrimination. These bastards are using a law that was put in place to protect our ancestors. They are using that shit now against our ancestors' descendants. They're using that shit for themselves. Ain't that a bitch? These folks have no shame. None. None. Also, I want you to notice here the lasting effects of Trump. So how they say that? A panel of 3 judges, including 2 former President Trump appointees. That's for them motherfuckers who sat out that election in them battleground states. Shouldn't have mattered if we had the popular vote choose the president, you know what I'm talking about? But I talked about that last week. Okay, I talked about that on the last episode. Make sure y'all goddamn go back and watch that. Popular vote would have eliminated this bullshit, but I digress. Okay. Make sure you get your ass out and vote. Let's keep moving. Friction point. With this decision, there is now a circuit split on these kinds of cases, raising the possibility that they'll wind up at the Supreme Court. A similar case filed against Pfizer over its fellowship program for college seniors who are Black, Hispanic, or Native American went in a different direction at the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit in March. In that case, the appeals court ruled that the plaintiffs, a group called Do No Harm, lacked standing to sue because they were anonymous. In the Fearless decision, the court ruled that the plaintiffs, also anonymous, did have standing. According to the suit, they are 3 business owners who would have applied for the Fearless program but aren't Black women. What's next? There's been a series of legal attacks on diversity, equity, and inclusion, aka DEI programs, at companies and universities this year. And more cases will likely wind up in appeals courts, including a lawsuit that was dismissed last week against insurer Progressive and fintech company Hello Alice. See, if you work for Progressive, they coming your way with this shit. And that's going to have rippling effects. Here's a quote. We are going to see pro-DEI outcomes in liberal circuits and anti-DEI outcomes in conservative circuits. David Glasgow, executive director of the Meltzer Center for Diversity, Inclusion, and Belonging at New York University School of Law, told the Associated Press. The bottom line, this disagreement will likely play out in the courts until there's some kind of definitive ruling from the High Court, observers said. With SCOTUS, Supreme Court of the United States, as currently constituted, it's more likely than not that race-based investment efforts will be banned or significantly curtailed. Ultimately, the fellowship and grant programs targeted by anti-DEI groups aim to make the business world a more diverse place by giving people in underrepresented groups a leg up. Why it matters? There are few Black and women CEOs on the Fortune 500 list, okay? And the pipelines leading to the C-suite become progressively less diverse as workers advance up the ladder. Black entrepreneurs are also at a disadvantage when it comes to securing funding for new businesses. In 2022, Black founders raised just 1% of all funding, according to data from Crunchbase. Zoom in. Rosalind Chow, a Carnegie Mellon Business School professor who studies diversity and inequality, says those $20,000 Fearless Fund grants are meaningful in light of access issues facing many entrepreneurs of color. Programs like the Fearless Fund are meant to act as a bridge so that entrepreneurs can have a little more time to build those networks so that they can get access to more funding. Our thought bubble. This is the article talking, y'all. The Fearless Fund now has reason to be scared, and so do any other firms whose mission is to invest in companies founded by members of underrepresented racial groups. What to watch? The Fearless decision has also put the nonprofit world on notice. They're wondering if any program structured similarly to the Fearless Grant would be subject to a legal challenge. I have clients who are involved in charitable giving looking closely at this, says Lauren Hartz, a partner at Jenner and Block. So if you got a nonprofit and you be earmarking money for low income Black communities, they might come for your shit. If you be trying to help Latinos and shit, the children of immigrants and shit like that, they coming for your shit. They coming for you. All you try to do is help folks. You look at the data, you look at across society and say those people need help. I'm gonna create something that's gonna help specifically help those people. These motherfuckers are saying no, 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 you ain't. Oh, he's coming to the business world now. What they're saying. The message these judges sent today is that diversity in corporate America, education, or anywhere else should not exist. Fearless Fund CEO Arian Simone said in a statement to AP. The other side, the groups filing these suits argue that it's inherently unfair to favor one demographic group over another. You motherfucking right it is. These programs would not have to exist if you bastards did not create a society that favored one demographic group over another for centuries. There would be no need. But see, they don't see that. Or either they see that, oh, fuck that. I'm being too nice. They see that. They don't give a fuck about that. They want that shit to remain where they are the favored race. That's what they want, man. Look at the quote. Our nation's civil rights laws. Bitch, you ain't. Our nation's civil rights laws do not permit racial distinctions because some groups are overrepresented in various endeavors, while others are underrepresented, said Bloom of the American Alliance for Equal Rights, according to CNN. The bottom line, if these cases succeed, they could worsen the gender and racial imbalances in the business sector. I say y'all, Emmett Smith comes to mind, y'all. Emmett Smith. I saw that the University of Florida came out against DEI. And Emmett Smith publicly chastised his alma mater for that. I was flabbergasted by that shit. He's a perfect example of all the shit I'm talking about right now. Because while he was pointing at his university, his PWI, where he starred, okay? I'm sure he has been used to recruit many other black men to go there and play football there. Sure he has. Probably some of his millions have gone back to his beloved Florida Gators. So he got on his school publicly. But still being Jerry Jones' face, grinning and shit. See what I'm saying? Like, motherfuckers can point at these universities and say what they're doing wrong while still taking the damn checks from the fucking be kind and not call Jerry Jones a segregationist. He said he was just being curious in that picture. He's a conservative donor. He's a big-time conservative donor. Big-time donor to Trump and other conservative causes. This whole shit, this whole anti-DEI shit is a conservative cause. Motherfuckers like Jerry Jones could put a stop to this if they wanted to. You would still have folks out here with this sentiment, but without the funding, without the backing of the big boys with the money, they couldn't be making all these moves. So how in the hell is Emmett Smith for real serious about being against what his university is doing while smiling up in the face of a motherfucker who holds a lot of the same beliefs? Remember they said that Jerry Jones was getting chastised about what the Cowboys not having a black head coach or something like that? And what was he quoted as saying? Well, they want to hire the coach. They did get their own team. Same shit. That's what they folks saying. That's what they do not want no goddamn diversity. I see some folks on the liberal side be on MSNBC and shit, and they be saying diversity is the strength of this country. These folks don't view it like that. These motherfuckers would love to have a white ethno state. It's like our ancestors were brought here to work. That's it. You brought here to motherfucking work. You ain't brought here to be no fucking citizen. We only gonna call you 3/5 of a damn citizen in the Constitution just because as Southerners we want to get our population numbers up. That's it. We were not intended to even be citizens. So now that since slavery is over, you can go read. I'm motherfucking be like, man, let's send them back. Shit. Hell, we don't even need you. But then when you had sharecropping replace slavery, see, a lot of motherfuckers were against that. They're like, oh no, let's not send them back. I still need them to do their work. And that's how a lot of these motherfuckers still feel today. They need you on your job to do that work for them. They need you on that line in that factory doing that motherfucking work. They need you in that cubicle doing that motherfucking work. They need you working from home. They need you driving that truck for that company. They need you. They need you. They need you. So we can't be sitting up here just pointing at these boys and girls going to these PWIs for a check when many of us doing the same goddamn thing, going to these places and working for these folks who don't give a fuck about us for a check without doing the following. Because you got bills to pay. When it comes to our kids going to these schools, they got to realize what kind of goddamn leverage they have. Because they ain't using it. They are not using their leverage. They just going and taking the check. They ain't even trying to make these motherfuckers pretend for real that they give a fuck about them as human beings. Hey, man, the NIL, right? I'm there. Y'all gonna help me get to the league? I'm there. When the league gonna draft you, long as you good, long as you ain't out here. No, fuck that. I was about to say, long as you ain't out here like Cap, but to an extent, what they did to Cap was because he wasn't that marquee player anymore. Like if Pat Mahomes was on that type of shit, one of the 32 owners gonna say, man, fuck y'all, I'm finna win these Super Bowl, Jack. Fuck that shit. I'm finna win these Super Bowl. One. That's what they did with Jackie Robinson. One said, man, fuck y'all, this man good as fuck. I'm finna break this color barrier. This man good as fuck. So some of these athletes most of these athletes, they ain't using their leverage, man. I remember that brother, Kylan Hill, I want to say. Mississippi State. I think it's Kylan Hill. Okay. We had that controversy over our flag here in the state of Mississippi. And goddamn it, that young man was on some shit like, I ain't finna play. And other athletes started rallying around his ass. Shit, that flag gone. Had them damn coaches come down to the state capitol saying get rid of the flag. It was bad for business. The sentiment didn't change. They just knew it was bad for business. Young man uses leverage. So we need to start teaching our young kids, man, especially when they are studs. Hey, when y'all go to the university, hey, you ain't got to play for no coach that's like Bobby Knight, Trump supporter, before he passed away. Lou Holtz, Trump supporter. You ain't got to go play for one of these motherfuckers. And if that school wants you bad enough, they better hire a motherfucker that goddamn actually cares about y'all as black people. They better stop with this anti-DEI shit if they want y'all on campus, and it'll stop. It will stop. It would. Because ultimately, these motherfuckers want to win. Like, their true feelings might not change, but these policies will change. Because they want to win and they want to make that money. They finna make more money than they ever in college athletics. What I just saw, they're going to let these motherfuckers start putting logos and shit on the field. This shit straight like the league now, baby. I'm watching the NBA finals. They got a goddamn logo every motherfucking way. You got logo on the guys. You got logos on the court. You got logos on the scoreboard. I mean, on the scores table and shit. You got logos when they do the overhead cam over the goal. You got corporate sponsors every motherfucking way, man. They finna make a killing in college athletics, dog. Cause they finna do the same shit. Same shit. So these boys gotta use their leverage. We as consumers have to use our leverage. Maybe enough of y'all don't work at maybe enough black people don't work at your location to make a dent, like if y'all were really on some labor union shit. And that's one way y'all can use your leverage. Unite, unionize and collectively bargain against that shit. But another thing we can do is with our dollar. Man, I read the book, We Will Shoot Back, about armed resistance here in my state of Mississippi. And I'm currently reading Medgar and Merlin by Joy Ann Reed. And man, I'm just so impressed by the boycotts that these folks were able to do, man. Our people really on some shit. And they ain't had no social media. Like, we in the midst of a time where, goddamn it, we want to really boycott some shit and get it organized. All we got to do is do a hashtag and get on that bitch and we get it popping. You a company that's anti-DEI? Okay, fuck you then. We ain't finna buy no shit from you. Fuck you. They want our money, dog. They want our money. They want our labor and our money. But we have to realize our power in these situations. Again, I'm not idealistic. I don't expect the Jerry Joneses of the world to change mentally. I don't expect them to view me as their equal. Fuck them. I know what God made me. I don't give a fuck how they feel about me. But I do give a fuck about the actions that they take. I do give a fuck about that. And you should too. I don't give a fuck whether my alma mater, University of Southern Mississippi, whether people down there view me as their equal. Fuck them. If you a Southern Miss alum or somebody that go there now, and you don't like the black people that are there, fuck you. I know I tore that place up when I was there. I know I did. Now I graduated #1, goddamn it. Yes, I did. But that performance still doesn't change some people's opinion. It doesn't. But fuck their opinion. I do care about your policies. I do care about that. What are you doing? What are you doing? Not what you thinking. What the fuck are you doing? And it was sad while I was down there, and we tried to get football players to use their leverage. When we were trying to get a pardon for Clyde Kennard, who had been imprisoned for really trying to integrate Southern Miss, but they imprisoned him for a trumped up charge of stealing chicken feed, which was bullshit. And Southern Miss knows it was bullshit. That's why a building on campus is named after him now. But we were trying to get then Governor Haley Barbour to pardon Clyde Kennard and wipe his record clean. We were trying to get the football players on our side with it. And I just remember, some of them that I went to, man, they wasn't studying that shit. So that's another thing. We got to do a better job of educating our kids from a young standpoint, especially when you can see they're going that route to be one of them stud athletes. You got to start teaching them young. Hey, you're going to have some leverage. You got to make them socially aware and politically aware so they can properly use that leverage for positive change. But we cannot expect these kids, 18 years old, 19 years old, to do that when we as adults ain't politically aware and socially aware and willing to either unionize and force these motherfuckers' hand on this DEI shit or whatever other programs that can help us, or boycott these motherfuckers. If we ain't willing to do that type of shit as grown folk, how the fuck we gonna keep pointing at these kids? We can't. But I hope y'all are more aware of what's coming, because they went after the universities first, but now they coming to corporate America. It's an ideological war out here, y'all. You need to be aware of what's going on. Put it on some.
Please subscribe to my daddy's YouTube channel, because the more subscribers he gets, the more attractive he looks to sponsors. The more attractive he looks to sponsors, the more money he can make. And the more money he can make, the more money he can spend on me.